Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching Really Dicey. This is Manny.
And I'm RJ, and today we're reviewing Journeys to the Radiant Citadel. It's the newest collection of adventures from Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
If you like this or any of our other videos, please like and subscribe. YouTube has notified me that over 250,000 people have viewed our videos, which is great, but very few have subscribed. And if you could do so, it would mean a lot to us.
So Journeys to the Radiant Citadel is 224 pages. It's 13 adventures. It's got setting information on the Radiant Citadel and story hooks if you want to continue your adventures in the Radiant Citadel further. The difficulty of the adventures is from level 1 through 14.
There are no sections for new magic items, spells, or bestiary, but they do introduce 11 new creatures found only in these adventures. So today, we're just going to talk about what this book is about, give a review, and share what we liked and disliked about the adventures. So what is the Radiant Citadel? The Radiant Citadel is an interdimensional floating city in the ethereal plane where refugees from different worlds can come to find a safe place to start a new life. The keening gloom, an ethereal cyclone, encircles and possibly protects the Radiant Citadel so that no outside forces can come to it directly. This city is made up of 15 different civilizations where all the adventures take place. So when I started reading about what the Radiant Citadel was, I wasn't sure if I liked the idea of it, the setting, not the book. I don't like the idea that this wonderful civilization, which is described so well, is so separate from the rest of the D&D universe. Even something like Spelljammer will have some difficulty. But they do give you great options of how to incorporate your adventures to places like Forgotten Realms, Kryn, Eberron, so it doesn't have to stay in a Radiant Citadel. You can actually take it out of it completely, which is fantastic. And that's probably the options I'm going to use myself.
Yeah, after I read the introductory chapter about the Radiant Citadel that was released online ahead of the book's release, I actually didn't find myself too interested in the book overall.
If I'm going to be brutally honest and say that I had low expectations about this book. I've been disappointed with some of the adventures that Wizard of the Coast has released recently. I've run those adventures with different variety of groups and individuals, and after much discussion afterwards with my players, we agreed to move on to other books and sometimes to other systems. Candlekeep Mysteries is the only book that even today I still use and reuse their adventures. And when I ask myself why, it's the edge of danger. It's the fantastic setting of a library city and the wonderful structure of how the adventures are set up. The book begins with what the Radiant Citadel is, and I'll talk more about that, how I feel about that in a second. And it starts with the first adventure called Salted Legacy, a fun, humorous mystery for first or second level players. And I did like it. But I was concerned if the rest of the book was going to be like this because Salted Legacy had a Wild Beyond the Witchlight, Strixhaven vibe, meaning there's a lot of potential exploration activities your characters can do in this adventure outside of the main quest. And if your gaming party is all about that, then that's great. But when I ran those modules for my groups, it just didn't work. But when I read the second adventure, Written in Blood, I fell in love. Excellent adventure with elements of horror and mystery. And as I read the other adventures that followed, I was extremely happy with what I read. It reminded me a lot of what I felt when I read Candlekeep Mysteries. But how Journeys to the Radiant Citadel differs from Candlekeep is that every adventure is inspired by different mythologies from around the world, giving every story a unique flavor for you and your players to experience.
Yeah, it was difficult to pick out one or two adventures as my favorite because nearly all of them are very strong. All of them have engaging storylines and mysteries, and the non-player characters are very unique and memorable. So some of the storylines have critical decision points that branch off in very different ways, putting the players into dilemmas that should reveal their characters' motivations and beliefs. And those adventures include the ones titled The Night Sees Succor and Shadow of the Sun. They really stand out as examples of that. And then the other storylines are more traditional in their linearity, such as Trail of Destruction and The Fiend of Hollow Mine, both of which are very fun. In the end, though, it came down to how do these adventures feel? Because each one is set in a distinctly different land and culture that have parallels to cultures that exist in the real world. The detail that's brought to these settings is immersive and actually core to the storyline of each adventure. It's not just a wallpaper. The settings are really the stars of this book. I ignored the Radiant Citadel itself almost entirely. I didn't find that to be very interesting, but the settings are fantastic. We've got such a variety. We get to deal with angels and jinn in one setting, and a deep, dark undersea city in the next. And then we'll be traversing the corpse of a desiccated far realm elder floating among dead stars in another one. So I ended up with 7 favorites out of the 13 adventures. And those are The Fiend of Hollow Mine, The Trail of Destruction, In the Mists of Manavarsha. I loved that one. Shadow of the Sun and The Night Sea Succor. I find those are present dilemmas to the players. Buried Dynasty and Orchids of the Invisible Mountain, both of which are very challenging.
So some quick notes about the artwork in this book. Every art piece they use to introduce each story really grabs your attention. The art direction has improved from previous books.
Yeah, these incredible settings are made even more fantastic by the colorful and detailed artwork. The art in this book is top notch, and it's vital, I think, for conveying the setting. The river flood crashing over the temple in the Mists of Manavarsha is a very dynamic and compelling image. It's right there behind me. And the picture of the winding sky bridge with no supports that leads to an ancient giant tree is really great.
Hmm.
And the character art in this book is also very, very good. There are characters that look very unlike what we've seen before, and they're all illustrated in excellent detail. As for the maps, all the maps are black and white. There are no color maps in this book. So DMs will have to rely on the superb artwork to help set the scenes, I think.
In conclusion, I'm very happy to see that Wizards of the Coast is having new settings available outside of the Forgotten Realms that explore non-European mythologies. For fans of old school D&D, if you were looking to play something that reminded you of the times you played Karator or Al-Qadim, this will excite you again. For newer fans, this is well worth your investment if you're looking for quality adventures.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of adventure anthologies generally, but these adventures are truly fantastic. The low level adventures are not quite as interesting, although there are plenty of hijinks, such as hot pepper eating contests, for the players to enjoy. But they tend to emphasize solving mysteries, probably because lower level characters in 5e are very squishy. The high level adventures are much more challenging, of course, and they should really test the capabilities of high level characters. The last thing that I want to mention is the adventure, The Night Seas Succor. It really made me take a pause and think for a moment after I read about how the undersea city of Janya came to be. These Janaean captives were taken by raiders, and they would escape from the raiders' ships by jumping into the sea. And the magic of their transmuters and that of the sea itself gave them the ability to live beneath the waves. Thinking about the real world parallels was really a sobering thought. Overall, though, I think this is the best 5e adventure anthology published by Wizards of the Coast so far. And I think it's in the top 3 for all the 5e setting books published by Wizards of the Coast.
And I totally agree. Thank you all for watching our video. We hope that it was informative, and if you agree, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Stay tuned as RJ and I are going spelljamming. Till next time.